Support and Education Chairperson with Lupus Ontario. Tonight I have monitoring the chat with me will be Sarah, who is my co-chair. So we will be monitoring the chat, so you can put your questions in the chat and hopefully we'll get through them. If not, we will have another option for you at another time. I'm sure Dr. Silius would not mind me taking whatever questions are left over, forwarding it to him, and then we could deal with those issues.
Yes, of course, of course.
But hopefully tonight we will get through all the questions that are being put in the chat. Dr. Silius just mentioned he might have something he would like to share with us before we begin taking the questions, doing the question and answer. But just for you who maybe weren't able to join us the last time, again, we would like to apologize if that was, if any of you are on this call tonight that was not able to get in. Unfortunately, we had met our Zoom cap. That has since been resolved. We have gotten a much larger crowd capacity, so that will never happen again as for any of our webinars. So we thank you for your patience and we thank you for your understanding in that situation. But we're really pleased that Dr. Silius decided to come back and do a Q&A, because even at that session there was so many Q&A we weren't able to get through it. So I'd just like to take a moment to introduce our special guest speaker today, Dr. Silius. Dr. Silius started working in the field of systemic autoimmune diseases during his specialty training. He found his calling in medicine when he engaged in clinical research in systemic lupus erythematosus for his PhD thesis. After completing that, he was awarded the Jeff Carr Lupus Fellowship from Lupus Ontario in 2014 and the opportunity to come to Canada. He was further trained in the Toronto Lupus Clinic under the supervision of Dr. Uritz and Dr. Gladman. In January, he started a new chapter in his life by becoming an assistant professor with the Division of Rheumatology at McMaster University. In the near future, Dr. Silius will be establishing a lupus clinic and biobank for research purposes in Hamilton with the generous support of Lupus Ontario. Dr. Silius, thank you and welcome again. We do appreciate you coming back and taking the time for this question and answer.
Sandra, the pleasure is all mine, you know that.
Did you want me to let you have the screen now? Or
when it comes to Lupus Ontario, you don't need to ask. We just find to have to find some common time.
Okay.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, while you're still looking for what you're looking for, I'll just mention, as everyone in the call know, May is Lupus Awareness Month. On screen, I've put up some of the events that we have coming up, sponsored by Lupus Ontario. To a couple of dates I would like to point out for World Lupus Day awareness. We have May 10th, which is World Lupus Day. The CN Tower, Niagara Falls will be lit up. Also follow us on social media because we'll be posting, daily posting on lupus awareness. Another day of interest outside of the normal activities that Lupus Ontario normally does is May 21st, which is the Put on Purple Day. So we ask everyone to put on purple that way. We ask you to take videos or pictures and please share it on Facebook or any of the other social media channels that Lupus Ontario have. Just another quick thing, on May 18th, we have our webinar for May coming up and we have a special guest speaker. So please, if you haven't registered for that as yet, please register at lupusontario.org/education. Also for all our support meetings, you can register for those at lupusontario.org/support. Quick thing before we let Dr. Silius begins is please note the registration is also open for the 2020 virtual walk for Lupus Ontario. Thank you.
Okay, we're good with the announcements.
Okay, so I will stop sharing if you would like to take over the screen. One second.
Okay, and now you can see my screen or not?
Not as yet, but it says you have started. So give it a moment and it will probably, there we go. Okay.
Okay, now you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, and you can see this. How can I get, yeah, okay. Okay, and now you can see this COVID vaccine immunogenicity in systemic autoimmune diseases, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, that's great. So I'll steal 10 minutes of your time. These are the latest data. I presented them in the grant rounds of the McMaster University and the Hamilton Hospitals on Thursday morning. Right, just a few things, and then I will go through the questions. If this goes to full screen, okay. Okay, so we'll discuss a few things about the, when we say immunogenicity, we mean exactly this, how other people vaccinated are going to develop antibodies and how many of them will develop antibodies and thus will be protected against COVID. And I'll tell you a few things about the transplant people, patients with cancer, patients with systemic autoimmune diseases, what we are talking about today. This IBD stands for inflammatory bowel disease. You may have heard this as Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. And then I'll tell you what we are preparing for the moment. Right? Probably you know that patients with transplant and patients with cancer have been allowed from the Ministry of Health. I think it's Canada-wide and not only provincial, to receive both vaccines in 4 weeks time and not 16 weeks. So they are the exemptions. Right, why this happened? Because we had a study with 436 transplant recipients. They got vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine or the Moderna vaccine. These are the drugs they were taking. And after the first dose at day 20, so 3 weeks after the first dose and before the second, 17% of them had antibodies. So the vast majority did not develop antibodies. Right, but they did so after the second dose. So this is why the Canadian government decided to give both vaccines to these people 4 weeks apart. The same for the oncology patients, solid cancer and hematological cancer. Hematological cancers are the leukemia, lymphoma group. So after the first dose, less than 40% of these patients had antibodies, less than 15% when it comes to hematological cancers, to blood cancers. And then after the second dose, more than 95% of them had antibodies. So after the second dose, they reached the levels of the healthy controls, people without any such disease. What is happening in patients with autoimmune diseases, including lupus? Right, a small study from Germany, that was the first one to come up. 26 patients only vaccinated with Pfizer or Moderna, and almost all of them developed antibodies. If you see the right panel here, this is D0, the first dose, and then the second dose, and then 7 days after the second dose, almost all but one of the patients with these diseases developed antibodies. How many? Less than the healthy controls, less than healthy people without lupus, without rheumatoid arthritis, all those things. And these antibodies were neutralizing the virus. They could inhibit the virus, but less effectively than the healthy controls. This is another study from the States with 123 patients. We discussed about this in the previous meeting. They had the Pfizer or mRNA vaccines. 24 of them had lupus, 16 had Sjogren's, and the others other kinds of these diseases. They were tested after the first dose at day 22. Right, so by that time, they should have developed antibodies. How many they didn't? 26%, so 1 out of 4. And if we go to lupus in particular, we are talking about 1 out of 3 patients did not develop any antibodies after the first dose. They checked the drugs the drugs that these people were taking, and if there was a relationship between this and the lack of response, and they found mycophenolate. You can see it here. Mycophenolate is Cellcept or Myfortic or mycophenolate. This was related with a reduced response. If you see here, almost 80% of people with Myfortic or Cellcept did not develop antibodies. And then that rituximab is an intravenous therapy. It targets exactly the cells that are supposed to produce the antibodies. So without these cells, you don't expect any antibodies, right? So these people have problems as well. They did not develop any antibodies. Now, this is the latest. It hasn't come up yet. They are still refining the data, and we are still convening about the validity of the data. They had 133 patients, 15 lupus, 38 rheumatoid arthritis, 42 with Crohn's and other kind of diseases. They checked the antibodies as well. Almost all of the patients had some antibodies after the first dose, but significantly less compared to healthy controls, compared to patients without any of these diseases. Now, what happened? This is the interesting part of the study. Because they had the numbers, they could say something more solid about the drugs. And they found, one, prednisone is related to less immune response. If you see the numbers here, immunocompetent controls means that patients who did not even patients, healthy controls, they didn't have any disease. Patients with lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and all these diseases without prednisone, 92% had antibodies. Patients on prednisone, 65% only. Right, so 2/3 only. And we're talking about a prednisone dose of 6.5 median, the mean dose. This is a rather low dose. We use this frequently in our patients, this 7.5 milligrams for prolonged periods of time to suppress the inflammation. Right, so prednisone may attenuate the response as well, even in low doses. Methotrexate was related to significantly less antibodies. We knew that from other vaccines, from the flu vaccine, from the tuberculosis vaccine. They don't work as well for people who are taking methotrexate. The same for anti-TNF. It's not for lupus. We don't use it for lupus. We use it for rheumatoid arthritis and other conditions. Right, and in this case, we saw again the effect of rituximab and the weakening of the immune response in these vaccines. And here they try to quantify this effect. The rituximab, for example, makes you 52 times less likely to develop antibodies. Prednisone at these doses, 15 times less likely. And the methotrexate, this here, it goes to 3 times less likely. The other effects are not considered significant, statistically significant, meaning that most likely there is not an effect of plaquinol or other medicines. They didn't check the MMF, the Cellcept, on this. Now, I won't say anything for the patients with Crohn's disease, or if there isn't anybody, he or she can ask in the chat. I'll just show you this figure. Infliximab is a major drug that is being administered to patients with Crohn's disease. And this is the response if infliximab was taken with immunosuppressants. 27% of them had some antibodies after the first dose. And then 36% if infliximab was not administered with immunosuppressants. Now, what we discussed in the meeting and what we're preparing to do, it's more than certain that immunosuppressives and prednisone now will suppress your immune function, right? And the ability of your immune system to generate antibodies, the antibodies that are needed to protect you from COVID. So the question is, should we expedite the second dose for such patients? We have data showing that if we go to 4 weeks or 3 weeks apart, we will have more than 90% response. we will be very close to healthy controls. Now, should antibody titers be assessed after vaccination? This is an issue. This is an issue that may require some money. Right, I'll tell you about this, about the test. Immunosuppressive holiday, this is a great question, and how we can fine-tune the treatment so we will allow the immune system to be triggered and generate these antibodies. And then third dose, I'm not saying anything. We'll discuss about this in a few minutes. Now, what is this? Is the statement from the Canadian Rheumatology Association. I think we are convinced now that we need to do something and we need to take some action for this, right? And the conclusion is that the second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine should not be delayed for immunosuppressed patients. The 16 weeks time from the first dose to the second is considered to be a delay. Why we did that? Why we decided to do this? Because after the first dose, 10 to 12 days after the first dose, you will have, if you didn't have lupus, you would have 80 to 85% protection against severe COVID. That means that even if you contract the virus, it's unlikely that you will end up in a hospital or an ICU. You may get sick, but worst case scenario will be like a bad flu. Best case scenario, you will not even realize that you have something, that you have a viral infection. Right now, we could live with this, the non-lupus people, and have the precautions and have all these measures, the social distancing and everything, for another 4 months. But even if they get something, they have some level of protection. Lupus patients, on the contrary, and particularly patients with immunosuppressives, they will not have such protection. Right, and the question is, will we allow these patients to wander out half protected or not protected for another 4 months? Or we should go ahead and vaccinate them and protect them the same way that it was done in the trials. Now, I will stop sharing. Right, and thank you for listening. These are the latest data. That's why I thought it would be interesting to see this. Sandra, do you want me to go through the questions from the first session? Sandra, I can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, yes, sorry about that.
Okay,
No, we're going to go with the questions from our guests that are here with us tonight. That way we are covering as many as possible from those who have decided to join us for this question and answer, okay?
Okay.
So we're going to start in the chat. Are you ready for us to begin now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just go back. I think the first one was...
So from Kathy, would you like me to read that one, Sandra?
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna
Okay. From Kathy, how long after a fever and medication changes should a person wait before having the vaccine?
How long after?
Yeah, how long after a fever?
Like if there is any active infection. If there is any active infection, the vaccination is contraindicated. You shouldn't have the vaccine if you have fever. Right, and this stands for all vaccines, not only for the COVID vaccine. If you have a fever, this is most likely a current infection, an acute infection, and vaccination should be delayed until at least 1 week after the fever subsides completely.
Okay, with the same thing.
Since we are still, sorry, Sarah, since we are still in the third wave of the pandemic, if there is any such patient, she should be tested. Okay.
Okay, great. And does that also apply for if you're changing your medications?
if you're changing medications, most likely you have a flare of your disease, right? There's no other explanation to change the medications unless it was a tolerance issue and your disease is inactive, but you couldn't tolerate the previous drug. If this is the case, you can have the vaccination right away. If the case is that your disease was active and your doctor added treatments, added immunosuppressants, or increased the dose of prednisone or anything else, that means that your disease is active. Most likely, you will not respond adequately to the vaccination. You will not develop antibodies. Right. You should wait. Actually, the recommendation from the American College of Rheumatology now and the European League Against Rheumatism is to wait until your disease is well controlled. You don't want to trigger your immune system now that the disease is active, if it's active.
Okay, thank you. Next question. I'm a 21-year-old female diagnosed with SLE in 2018, which was triggered by taking the flu vaccine. What are your thoughts and recommendations about taking the COVID-19 vaccine given this scenario?
Great question. I'm hearing this from some patients. Now, we cannot prove that the disease came from the lupus, from the flu vaccine. We cannot disprove this, right? Nobody can say the opposite. Nobody can say with confidence that it's not this or it's not that. When you're taking the vaccine, your immune system will be triggered to produce antibodies. This is what the vaccine is doing, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't vaccinate people. Now, for whatever we said for the other patients, if your disease is stable, if your disease is inactive, you can have the vaccine and you should have the vaccine. I'm sorry if I'm allowed. I saw a question from the previous session asking about how different vaccines are working and if one is more dangerous than the other or whatever when it comes to lupus flares. Right. What are the data? The data are that we haven't seen any lupus flare from the vaccine, from any vaccine, being it Pfizer or Moderna or Astra or whatever. Now, if you ask me how the immune system will respond, how the immune system will react, I'll tell you how. If you have an mRNA vaccine like the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccines, there's nothing else in the vaccine but the mRNA. The mRNA is a small molecule, it will go into the cells. It will give the order that the cells will start producing this spike protein of the virus. And when the spike protein comes out in the blood, the immune system will react and form antibodies against this very protein. So one antibody, right? This will happen with the Pfizer, with the Moderna vaccines. With the Astra vaccine and the Johnson & Johnson, Johnson & Johnson is like the AstraZeneca vaccine, but it's one dose. It reaches 80–85% protection in healthy controls again, not in lupus patients, after a few weeks from the vaccination. With AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson, your immune system will react against 5 or 6 or 10 different proteins. Why? Because it's not only this S protein of the virus, it comes with another virus that is deactivated, right? And this other virus, probably you've seen the word vector or vehicle, right? It's like a car. This protein is coming with the car in your system. So your immune system will respond to the protein, to the driver. It will respond to parts of the car as well. It may form antibodies against the other virus, the inactivated virus. Right, so in one case, you will have an immune response to one molecule. In the other case, we will have an immune response to 10 or 12 or 8 different molecules. And this is why if you heard anything about a flu-like reaction, some fever after the AstraZeneca vaccine, this is exactly because of this virus that is deactivated. It won't give you like a huge amount of trouble. No, like for a couple of days, yes, but it's still there, right? And the immune system, of course, will react to this. The immune system is programmed to react to anything that will enter your body. anything. Okay, so we would say yes, if your disease is inactive, is well controlled, go ahead and have your vaccine.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, our next question. You mentioned in the last lecture that 30% of lupus patients have a poor antibody response to the vaccine. Are efforts being made to change the current 4-month wait time between the two doses? I believe you covered.
What are the efforts? I would love to say that I've spoken to the Prime Minister, but I haven't. What I'm doing now, what I'm thinking to do, and I'm still awaiting approval from the, not approval, permission from my directors at the McMaster University, is to extend a letter to the National Advisory Committee on Immunizations. This is the overarching authority for the vaccinations in Canada, to ask them to include patients with autoimmune diseases in this category with transplant and the oncology patients, right? The Canadian Rheumatology Association, they have asked for this. I don't know if this will be approved. I hope that during the month of May, right, most likely we'll have more vaccines. If we'll have more vaccines, this will be feasible. If we won't have more vaccines, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. The truth of the matter is that we have some problems with the supply chain, with the vaccines. I've seen in Ontario, I'm volunteering for vaccinating people in the area of Hamilton. Right, I'm volunteering for 3 shifts a week. I'm doing 1 because of the inventory. We don't have enough. Now they told us that we'll have more from the 16th of May, and after that, I hope that when we have more vaccines, this will be assessed differently.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What are the percentage of those taking hydroxychloroquine that did not produce antibodies after the second dose of the mRNA vaccine?
It's less than 5%. Less than 5%. Okay, so don't worry. Have your vaccine. After the second dose, it's less than 5% that you will not have any antibodies. Now, Sandra, if I'm allowed, there were some questions actually about the measurement of the antibodies after the vaccines.
Okay.
And I think that most people are interested in this.
Yes. I think I sent that in the letter. Yeah, if there's because you had
like
spoken about possibly getting the tests, and yeah, we did have a lot of inquiries about.
I've seen multiple questions on this, and I'll tell you this: for the moment, there is a test that is being assessed by Health Canada for measuring antibodies after the vaccines. What we have now for Life Labs, if you go to Life Labs and you check your blood for antibodies, this will show if you had the virus or not in the past, right? Not the antibodies from the vaccines. We don't have this test yet. I hope that Health Canada will approve it as soon as possible, and then they will release it for commercial use in Life Labs. Now, I'm hearing that this will go up to $75. The cost. I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure when it comes to the market if there are some other regulations, and I hope there will be some regulations to reduce the cost, because the cost of this measurement actually shouldn't be more than $20, $23. It's not different. The technology is the same. Everything is the same. The machines are there. We don't need any advanced technology to measure this. It's not like an advanced test or something. The method of the measurement, we know that, we knew that since the 90s, the early 90s. The machines are the same. I would expect some sense here.
Okay, so so just to clarify, I know because it was a big thing, we currently don't have a test to actually test the antibodies.
It's not commercial. You cannot walk in the Life Labs and tell
And
them,
ask for
guys,
that test.
please test me for the antibodies. I had my vaccine like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. You can't do this,
Okay.
right? Even with the requisition.
Okay, so my request, I will add those to you and I'll keep in touch with you, is that if and when such a test becomes available, you would be able to share that with us, because that's something we could easily get out to our membership at large.
Yes,
We do have
yes,
access
absolutely.
to get that out to them. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Sandra, I'm sorry. I'm always interrupting you. I'm so sorry.
No, that's
Uh,
fine. I'm finished.
there were some other questions for the test. People were asking about this test in McMaster, right? In my clinic, we don't negative offer this test in McMaster yet, right? We have the test. We await approval from the government. Actually, approval. We await the support of the government to do this Canada-wide. We have submitted an application for a research project for all the lupus patients that would be willing to participate in this. The goal is to have 1,000 lupus patients vaccinated, right? And to do this test and to see how Canadian lupus patients will respond to the vaccine. And of course, if we have this data, we will know who is not protected. And we'll be able to take some measures and help these people. I'm hearing that the decision for this will come early June. Okay, so in about a month from now, I'll be able to tell you that, okay, come to McMaster and I'll measure your antibodies. Okay, I hope they will give us the money. I don't know.
Okay. Well, if you need some support there, I'm sure we could get,
that would be lovely.
You know, if that's possible, if you need to get something going to get support behind it, you know, we have at least 300 in our membership group, and we should certainly reach out to them if they're willing to, I don't know, petition or whatever you need to help out with that.
Okay. Thank you so much. The truth of the matter is that because this is a pan-Canadian study, right? Lupus Canada has already supported the effort with a letter. So they got this. I hope we'll get the support we need. We're talking about $500,000 for this.
Okay.
Right. Of course, the study is not only on antibodies. We are talking about other parts of the immune response, like really advanced studies on this. And of course, not all labs in Canada will be able to do this. We have a terrific lab at McMaster, and they have all the methods set up already. All the machines are set up.
Okay. So that's something we'll be able to share with our membership once
absolutely.
You have all that information. As most of you on this call know, like Dr. Celia says, we have a very close, Lupus Ontario and him have a very close working relationship. And now that he's at McMaster, I'm sure we'll be able to, we do have the relationship already established with him to start the Spire Bank. Lupus Ontario is supporting him in this endeavor. So our members will definitely, if there's anything that he's going to be doing that's going to benefit our members, he will definitely be reaching out to us for that. Okay. All right. So go ahead, Sarah. I think the next question has probably been answered, but you know, we don't want anyone to feel like they're left out.
Yes, definitely. Are people with compromised immune systems able to get their second COVID vaccine earlier than 4 months? If yes, how can I go about doing this?
For the moment, no. There's no formal guidance from the government, from the Canadian government, to allow you to get your vaccine in a shorter period.
Okay.
Right? Unfortunately not. People who are allowed to have this in 4 weeks, we're talking about people with cancer. We're talking about people with transplant. And we're talking about First Nations. Okay, only these 3 categories can have the vaccine, the second dose, formally, officially, in 4 weeks.
Okay, so this one is also, I think you've touched on it as well, but for people just taking plaquenil, do they have to worry about the vaccine not working as well? That is the lupus person not building antibodies.
No, plaquenil alone is not an issue. Plaquenil with a high dose of prednisone or with some myfortic or Cellcept will be an issue. Okay, plaquenil alone, no.
Okay.
It's safe.
Okay, great. Next question. Last time you said that we can get a blood test for COVID antibodies. What is it, and what does this show for the vaccine? Or does this show for the vaccine?
Blood test for COVID antibodies test. If you have a blood test now, like today, they will measure the antibodies you had if you had been infected in the past. Right? If you have your test today and they tell you that your antibodies are positive, most likely you had the virus in the past. Right? To test the antibodies after the vaccine, we'll need a special test, a new test. It's a blood test. Yes, it hasn't been approved from Health Canada. We expect this to be approved like maybe this week or the next.
And again, if that test is approved, Dr. Cilius will be
Yep.
advising us, and then we will share that with our members. Okay, so I have my vaccine already, but haven't started any medications yet. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, if you haven't started any medications yet, you're good to go. You did great. Congratulations about having the vaccine. And if you can continue without any medicines for the moment, this will be great. Okay, if not plaquenil alone, we'd not attenuate the response, no. But for the other medicines, yes.
Okay.
Okay, great. Next question, does taking Cellcept affect the efficacy of the COVID vaccine?
Yes, unfortunately, people who are taking Cellcept are 80% more likely to not develop any antibodies. Okay, now, what is the discussion about this and how we can tackle this? If the disease is inactive, there is a discussion about holding the Cellcept for 7 to 10 days before the vaccination and another 7 to 10 days after the vaccination. This is not a recommendation from me. This is what you should discuss with your doctor. Right, I know for my patients who's willing and who's able to do this safely. Like if your disease is inactive for a couple of years, we haven't seen anything strange, okay, this will be safe. If your disease got into remission yesterday, it's not safe. Okay, that's why I recommend you to speak to your doctor before doing anything.
So I asked about blood work tests for COVID antibodies, and it's $75. So, um, I'm not sure if I don't know if this person wants me to put her on the. Maybe she could explain.
Right. Unfortunately, I cannot have any.
Like I know you can't confirm that, but
I'm not sitting on the table with Life Labs or Health Canada or anything.
Yeah.
I think my personal opinion is that it's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you ask this, but the currently available test is only for the antibodies after the natural infection.
Check defection. Okay.
Sandra, do you have any idea if this is covered from OHIP?
I don't. I don't. I mean, once the test is out, that's something we could find out, if that's something OHIP would cover, but I'm not aware at this point because, like you said, there isn't a test. You mean the test for COVID that
Yes.
to test? Oh, if after you've had to the COVID, if you, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I could make a note of that, but I'm not aware of anyone who have had a test and if it is covered by OHIP, so I'm not sure.
Right.
Sandra,
Right.
it's Linda. It's not covered, and it is $75.
Okay.
It's not covered, Linda, right?
No.
No.
I can attest to that too. When I did my blood work last week, Dr. Celios, I did look that up and it's $75, not
Okay.
covered.
Okay. So for anyone who
Right.
had the COVID and they want to, it's $75. Okay. Which is pretty well, I guess, in line with this other test that we're hoping to be able to do as well to show the development of the antibodies. Okay.
I think that it may not be covered as well if
Okay.
this is not covered.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Linda and Melissa,
Okay.
for sharing.
Yeah, that's definitely unfortunate. Okay, our next question. I am on Myforic and had my first dose on March 4th. My next dose is scheduled for end of June. Now what do I do? Can anything be done for patients like me?
What can you do now? You will go have your second dose for sure. At that time, most likely the test for the antibodies will be available. Right? What are you doing until then? Nothing. You're protecting yourself the way you are protecting yourself now and the way you used to do all this time. There is, I hope that we'll have more vaccines so the government will listen to us and they will allow lupus patients to have the vaccine earlier than 16 weeks. If this happens, okay. But I would suggest that even after the second dose, about a week, 10 days after the second dose, you'll measure these antibodies, we'll see what's happening with the test and how expensive this will be at the time, right? In order to be sure that you have some protection, right? Because with Myfortic, is 80% of Myfortic people did not develop any antibodies. So what are we going to do with these people? We'll have a third dose. We'll have like a third dose without the Myfortic, with the drug holiday. We need to work something out, right? This is what we are trying to find, to investigate with the study I'm telling you about.
Yeah, this question is also a follow-up to the CellCep. If lupus patients are not building the antibodies who are on CellCep, should we be getting it sooner? And I know you answered that already, but regarding that is the government
they should, in my opinion, but it's not in my power, unfortunately. Like I'm telling you, I had mine on the 16th of March and my second is scheduled for the 2nd of July. There's no way. I'm vaccinating people every week. I have vaccinated more than 300 people up to now, and I can't get my second dose myself. No. There's no way. The policy, the recommendation, the guidelines from the government are there to vaccinate everybody with at least one dose. No doctors, no nurses, no nobody.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does hypocomplementemia, I hope I'm saying that right,
impact the response to vaccine? What is this? Low complement proteins, right? Complement is a major biomarker for lupus. When the complements are going down, we consider the disease to be active. Or if not visibly active, there is some subclinical, not with many symptoms activity. In such case, your response will be even less. Even less.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, if we have side effects after being vaccinated, does that mean that we respond to the vaccine? Do we need to test the antibodies?
Not necessarily. No, you may have nothing, as the majority of the people. You may have a headache for 24 hours. You may have a low-grade fever. I've seen people with the AstraZeneca in particular to have fever, high fever for 2 or 3 days. Right? The response was similar in these people. Doesn't mean anything. Don't worry. If you didn't realize that you had the vaccine, you had this, your immune system is working underground, don't worry.
Okay, thank you. If an individual were to come off of prednisone prior to getting the vaccine, would that increase the level of antibodies?
Yes, Yes, but don't do it. Talk to your doctor first. Not everybody can stop the prednisone, and don't stop your prednisone cold turkey. Don't do this. You are all veterans in this war, right? We don't do this. Speak to your doctor for the prednisone. Okay, don't take like 21 day and 0 the other. You will collapse.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Are you advocating governments for SLE patients to get the second dose earlier, like cancer transplant patient? Is there anything we can do at the individual level to get one sooner? So,
You know what I'm thinking, Sandra? I could use a letter of support from Lupus Ontario.
okay.
Like I have prepared a letter, right? And I'm waiting for permission from my supervisors and my directors in McMaster.
Okay.
Because for the moment, I'm not independent.
Okay. Well, Linda is on the
So-
call. Linda, can you give that's confirmation to Dr. Salias regarding that letter of support?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've done this for other research proposals. We've always or often provided a letter of support. So yeah, be happy to do that. Just send it to me and we'll get it turned around and back to you.
You know, Linda, I was thinking about this, but I believe that if it comes from an institution, if it comes from the patients directly from Lupus Ontario, this will be, I hope, treated differently. I hope.
Yeah, I guess it
It's-
depended in the past. I mean, I usually say, we've got several hundred members or however many we've got, and
Right,
they
right.
desperately need this this change in the protocol for the second vaccine, and and usually you would draft the letter, and then I can add my own little bits to it and send it back to you, and you can
Okay,
see if it's okay.
okay, let's do this. You know, I think that it will be different to come from Dr. Tellers, right? Or McMaster University.
Yeah, well, we could just add it to yours, right?
It's a respected institution, theoretically, at least. And if it has the support of the patients, like Lupus Ontario, and we have so many members, it might be treated differently.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, the government's usually worried about the voters, so maybe not these independent bodies, but yeah, no, be happy to do that.
Okay, we'll do this.
Okay, and just while Linda, sorry.
And the Canadian Rheumatology Association is advocating for this as well.
That's good. Yes, I know,
Right,
because we had exchanged an email about this, and that was great that you had an update for tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, and while we are on, Linda is on the call. For those of you who don't know Linda, I'll take this moment to introduce. She is our president for Lupus Ontario. She's the president for the 2021, 2022. So Linda, I'll just take a moment if you'd just like to introduce yourself quickly again, just so for those who don't know you.
Sure. I went down the participant list and I see lots of familiar names. It's just great to see everybody, and thank you all for attending. I think these sessions have been wonderful, and I know Sandra will be reaching out, she may already have, to ask if these type of sessions, this is the type of interactive sessions you would like to see. We'd like to give you more of this information. And please, if any of you have anything on your mind that you want us to address, you can reach out to support@lupusontario.org. That's, you'll reach Sandra. And, if you want to send something to me, president@lupusontario.org will get to me. So, we're here for you, our members. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you think we can help. And we'll do our best.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on. And again, like I said, we will be communicating through, our newsletters and other sources to get whatever information. As we get the information, we'll be getting it out to your members. Okay, so the next question is, my dad is prone to blood clots. Would you deem AstraZeneca vaccine for myself, or should I get the Pfizer or Moderna instead?
Oh, for the patient, if it was an inherited disorder of clotting, right? No, it hasn't been proven. In all the patients, unfortunately, all these clotting disorders could not be predicted. All of these patients did not have any prior history of clotting or any inherited disorder. It was out of the blood.
Okay.
We cannot predict this. So you have the very same risk as any other patient for the AstraZeneca. We're talking about 1 in 200,000, something like this. Okay. For the Pfizer or Moderna, we haven't heard anything unusual for the Pfizer or Moderna. In Canada, we had nothing up to now, not a single case. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, next question. Would you recommend not delaying the second Pfizer dose for lupus patients who are not on immunosuppressant drugs?
Yes, I would recommend not delaying for all lupus patients. Like lupus patients, even with no medicines, they had a positive antibody test 10% less than the healthy controls. Right, so even if you're taking nothing, there is a small possibility, but anyway, this 10% less, that you will not get any antibodies after the first shot. Right, and this will go up to healthy control levels after the second shot. So why not, in my mind? Why not protect our patients to the fullest?
Okay, after listening to the new data, should we as lupus immune-compromised individuals actively look for a second dose earlier than the scheduled 4 months, as I got my first dose 4 weeks ago?
I don't know if this is possible. I tried to do this. I was not able to achieve it.
Okay.
I tried to do this for patients in trouble. I tried to do this for myself. No way. No way.
Okay.
For the moment, we just have to wait.
Okay. Like you said, hopefully we'll get some more deliveries. They'll come in earlier. I know Pfizer is supposed to be coming in
Hopefully.
with more for, but then there's still a lot of people who
Hopefully.
haven't even had their first dose. So unfortunately, okay, Sarah.
Okay, thank you. Oh, this is a good question. Okay, I tested positive for COVID-19 in January. I had minor symptoms. My lupus was not triggered. Should I avoid getting the vaccine since I have antibodies?
That's a great question, because many of our patients had COVID. Now, what's happening with this? In general, you are allowed to be vaccinated 3 months after your complete recovery and not right away. One thing is this. Second question, 1 or 2 doses. Some European countries follow the 1-dose protocol. With 1 dose, this will act like as a booster. After a natural infection, your antibody levels will be close to 300, 400, 500. Right? After the first shot, a healthy control goes up to several thousands, 5, 6, 7,000. And after the second shot, they go up to 20,000. Why we need 20,000 or 10,000 or a response in the thousands? Because in about 6 months from that time, your antibodies will be less than 1/3 from the baseline. So you will not be adequately protected. Right, what I would do if I was you would be to have at least 1 shot, at least.
Should pregnant women get vaccinated?
Another great question. Pregnant women, we had a study, it came up a few weeks ago. For pregnant women, the Pfizer vaccine was safe. And it had the same effectiveness as in non-pregnant women. What they did is in the first trials, when they had like 40,000 patients, 44,000 patients, they had a few women who got pregnant after the vaccination, shortly after the vaccination, right? They didn't receive the second dose, and they were monitoring them for the entire period of the gestation, of the pregnancy. Both the mothers and the babies did not have any problems. Like, we haven't had one single case of trouble. And from the other side, since the pregnant women are considered to be a high risk for COVID, it's recommended that they will get at least one shot. Right, I'm vaccinating pregnant women in Hamilton. I haven't seen, okay, like I vaccinated 5 up to now, but anyway, I haven't seen any significant trouble. They're doing well. Okay, the pregnant women are getting the Pfizer vaccine only, nothing else has been approved, in 16 weeks apart as everybody else.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay.
If you got the first vaccine 2 months ago, should you start over to get them 21 days apart? And also, if you had AstraZeneca for your first dose, can you get Pfizer for your second vaccine?
Right. If you had your first vaccine 2 months ago, no need to have another 2 shots. You will go and have your second shot when the time comes. That is in another 2 months. Okay. For the moment, the second shot will be the same as the first. There's no other possibility. They are having these trials now in the UK and down in the States with mixed vaccines, one Astra and then Pfizer, or the opposite. I hear that they don't have any safety issues. I'm not sure how it will work out. Okay, for the moment, no. If you have your first shot, the second will be the same.
Okay. This again, you touched on already. Should lupus patients stop taking their immune suppressants before or after the vaccine and the time frame? Again, I think you kind of responded to that before.
7 to 8 days before and 7 to 8 days after you speak to your rheumatologist. Okay, don't do this on your own. I know you're brave. I know all of you are warriors, but don't do this. Okay, speak to your doctor first.
Yes, always consult your doctor first. Okay, next question. Is plaquinol an immunosuppressant? If so, does it put you at higher risk of COVID complications versus not taking it?
No, it's not an immunosuppressant. We call it an immunomodulator, right? It doesn't put you at high risk. On the contrary, it may be protective. Don't stop it. Okay, not a good time to stop it.
Okay, this is
unless there is a toxicity or something, right?
Okay, I have CNS lupus. I am on my Fortic 3 milligrams of prednisone and Benlysta infusions, which is changing to Benlysta auto injections next week. I had my first dose of Moderna at the end of March with little side effects. Is there any way to request the second vaccine dose sooner than mid-July? Okay, so pretty well.
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not.
Okay.
I hope I'll be able to say something different in a week or two, but at the moment, no.
Okay, thank you. This next question is for the little guys. Will the vaccine be offered to children 12 plus with lupus in the future?
I think yes. For the moment, we have trials for children up to the age of 15 and older, and the Pfizer vaccine seems to be safe. For, I think, biologically, that above the age of 12, yes, we won't have any trouble. Below the age of 12, we don't know. Young children react differently, safety-wise. And they have their immune system is more sensitive to this. I would expect the trials first and then say something about this, right? But for the moment, we go down to 15 safely.
Okay, thank you, Sue. I think she put here regarding the health from the Canada Public Health regarding the vaccine. We also have that on the Lupus Ontario website. There's a special one and special population, which is what lupus patients fall under, and that's also you can access that as well from the Lupus Ontario website. So thank you for that. Sue, don't want to mistake your name. Okay, I had cancer as well. How do I get the second dose earlier? So someone who has cancer,
With a letter from your doctor.
okay.
You need to provide a letter from your doctor, and then they will allow you to have this in 4 weeks or earlier than 16 weeks at least.
Okay.
That's good. Okay, next question. For this test that will measure antibodies, what specific information will be provided to the patient based on their measurement result, beyond the basic result of has developed or not developed antibodies?
Not much. We believe that the protection level is currently at 400 or 500 units per microliter. With the antibody, with the vaccinations, we expect patients with lupus, patients on immunosuppressants to reach 3,000-4,000 units after the second dose. This will be enough for about a year, at least. Hopefully more, but we have data for about a year for non-lupus patients, like healthy controls, right? So I hope that this will be enough for the lupus patients as well to have a protection for at least 1 year after these antibodies, after these vaccinations, right? And of course, if it's negative, this is the question. What are we doing if it's negative? Like if we go to a third dose, and how we'll go to a third dose with some, we have to do something about the medications you're on. Right.
Okay. I'm to get a mammogram. The nurse said I cannot have it if it's close to my next vaccine date. Can you explain why?
No, I can't explain why. I don't know why she said that. Absolutely irrelevant. Like 110%, maybe more, maybe slightly more. I don't know. No, irrelevant. You can have your mammogram like the minute after your vaccine.
Okay. Next question. My daughter has lupus. She's 23 and has had it for 4 years and is on plaquinol, Celsep, warfarin, and about 10 milligrams of prednisone. She's in New Zealand for school. Should she get vaccine there or when she comes home later this year in December?
She should get the vaccine there. Period. They don't have any case in New Zealand. She will have the vaccine. There's no way that she will contract the virus. If I'm not mistaken, they have like cases in the single digits for months now. Right, it's safer for her to have the vaccine there, to have the time to develop the antibodies, to have the second dose and everything, and then return to Canada. Canada is not a safe place at the moment, unfortunately.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so just a code from Linda there. Okay, someone just posted, she just read something which would be fabulous. She said, Christine Elliott said we might be getting our second dose sooner. I just read it. Let's hope. So obviously that's breaking news as we are on this call. Not sure where she read it. If you could maybe post that in the chat and let us know where you read that, that would be great. Okay, so that's excellent news. I'll keep going. What we might do is I'm just going to quickly, as we're scrolling through, not to disregard any one question, but we just want to make sure. So if there's something that we perhaps already discussed already, we might just go through those. So just to let you know, we might be doing that because we want to try and get as many questions as possible. I'm going to read this one though. It says, can the current test used to determine antibodies post-infection be used to determine vaccine-generated antibodies? I think,
It's slightly different, very slightly different. It needs to get approved from Health Canada first. All these products need approval from Health Canada. Right, the approval process is going on as we speak.
okay.
It's the same method, the same principles, yes, but they need to get approval from Health Canada.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Why do patients who take CellSep and have organ transplant get in 21 days? Because they are chronic immunocompromised, but those who take CellSep for lupus are chronically compromised as well. Why are they not letting us have it sooner? Do you understand their reasoning?
Because the transplant people develop antibodies after the first shot in 17% of the cases. Lupus patients develop antibodies to 65% of the cases. So because we do better and they do worse, they allowed them to get the second vaccine as soon as possible. Like 21 days was what they did in the trials. Right, how the vaccine was administered to the healthy controls. And this, in my opinion, should be done for everybody. But it's the availability is not does not allow us to do this.
Okay.
I know it's tough. I know it's tough for everybody. I wish we had like 80 million vaccines for the entire country to get vaccinated like in 3 weeks, all of us. It's not feasible, unfortunately.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna read this. I'm not sure because I don't know all the drugs. So it says here, I've had one vaccine and probably starting. It's Paladin this week. Should I still get my second dose in July? I'm not sure if that's the right spelling or not. Do you
I
recognize that
think
word?
most likely could this be plaquenil?
Plaquenil maybe, but it's yeah, that's the only thing I could think.
We don't have a paladin drug. No, plaquenil. Yes, absolutely. It's safe. It's safe.
Okay. Okay, so someone is asking for your contact. I will get that and I will post it. That's okay to post your McMaster email, Dr. Silius?
Yes. The
Okay.
McMaster email. I think it's online. It's not on the McMaster website. I need to talk to these people.
Okay, I will post it. I'm just
I'm really sorry. I'm still new. Like I haven't had like 4 months in McMaster. I'm
okay.
still trying to find my way around. Like I'm going to the hospital, but there's nobody there because everybody's working remotely. Right?
Yes,
So I
okay.
haven't met so many people in McMaster yet.
Okay, I will definitely post it. Sue, just a comment there. She says amazing session. Haven't seen anything like this from other lupus organization across Canada. Great work to support us. So thank you, Sue. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Hopefully, we'll be able to continue to do more of these so our members can be informed as things are changing. Um, some people flying into the US to get second dose earlier in the news, but can be risked of flying and coming back. I guess that's just a comment. I'm not sure.
I
Would you not have to be a US citizen? I'm not really sure about that. It's just a comment.
I think the borders are still closed, aren't they? No.
Well, the borders, we're not supposed to be
The,
traveling, but
yes,
unfortunately, the airports are still open. Now, land borders are supposed to be closed for only
I
essential
see.
business, but unfortunately, the borders aren't always that secure. So, um,
I can't advise this like
yeah,
officially.
yeah, I just don't know about that. So I think that was just a comment. So we'll leave that as just a comment there. Um, okay, Sarah. I'm just gonna Dr. Silius.
I think this next question kind of ties with the US. It
Oh
says,
yeah,
does it
oh yeah,
matter
that's true.
where the second dose comes from now that we are getting some from the US?
Just come.
I guess like the Pfizer, like before we were getting it like from Europe, but now we're gonna get some from the US. I think that's what that's probably meaning.
If we get Pfizer vaccines from the States, this is the question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They're just saying like because
they are the same. They are the same, right? Pfizer had two major factories, one in the States, one in Brussels, Belgium. We were getting the vaccines from Brussels, from Belgium up to now, and this is why we were stuck for 5 or 6 weeks back in February, because they had trouble in the production, and whenever they were getting some new shipment, it was going to the union. Right, the vaccine is the same. Now, whatever was coming out of the US factory was going to the States. Right, and now that the States are like so ahead, we have to admit, most likely they will send us some vaccines. Right, we are in good terms with the new president, so I guess we'll get some.
Okay, so this is again, I'm just going to read it. It's more like a comment because I guess this is something we can't really answer on. Do you think they would know if we already had the first dose if we registered to get the vaccine?
In the States? Probably not. I guess not. In Canada, yes, that because it's only one system, one platform. So if you register now, the system automatically will show that you're in for your second dose or you're not in for your second dose. Right? You can't do this in Canada. Now, if you fly to the States, I guess they don't have any means to know that you already had your first shot. They will not test you or anything. Right? But I don't know. You will have to pay there. You will have insurance there.
I'm not sure. I think it's again, those would kind of be more like your personal, I guess if you're an American, how it would affect. I don't know if we can really comment on that. So
they will not know and they will not test you. Right now, if you need to pay for this, if you need to pay for the vaccine or the doctor or the nurse who will administer this to you, I don't know.
Okay.
Right, and of course, if you do this, if you're so brave to do this, whoever is asking, please ensure that you'll get the same vaccine. Okay, if you had Pfizer here, get the Pfizer there.
Okay, so this again is a comment. Would writing a letter to a local MP or MPP help to advocate the 4-week vaccination timeline? As we said, Lupus Ontario is going to be supporting Dr. Silius with a letter to accompany his letter that's going in, as well as Lupus Canada is working on it. But I'm sure, if you want to contact your local MPP, it doesn't really hurt, let them know this is your situation. Is there, and I guess if we all do that and they keep hearing the word lupus, it could help. It wouldn't hurt, would it, Dr. Silius?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Every help we can get is more than welcome. Right, and of course, as soon as possible. Right. I would like. It seems I have some trouble.
Oops.
I would like. I'm sorry for that. Like my battery was running low.
Okay. No problem.
I want to be on the table. My letter to be on the table before they get the shipment. Right. So when they have the vaccines, this will be on top of the things to discuss. And I'm thinking to bother like everybody from the National Committee on Immunizations to the to provincial governments here in Ontario. We have trouble. We have trouble in Ontario.
Yeah, so every little bit does help. And thank you so much for your advocacy.
Yesterday I heard they sent 2 patients from Toronto to North Bay with a helicopter for ICU. So Toronto hospitals are full, ICUs are full, Mississauga ICUs are full, Hamilton ICUs are full. And now they're sending people to Barrie and North Bay.
Okay.
Anyway.
Thank you for the information, Ash, regarding the Yahoo the news update we just got. Some thank you coming in, Dr. Cilius. Thank you again. Thank you again. Okay, so next question. So lots of thank yous coming in there. If someone has low C3 and C4 and they receive the vaccine, would it impact their ability to develop antibodies, or is the impact of low C3 and C4 just that they may be more susceptible to a flare?
The second, may be more susceptible to a flare. There are patients who have a chronically low C3 and C4 and will not flare, right? If this is the case, you expect the antibodies to be okay. If the C3 and C4 go low now, and this is something new for this patient, no, this is not a good sign. Your disease is getting active, right? And with an active disease, your antibody response will be blunt.
Okay, so okay, some more thank yous, some more comments, some feedbacks. I guess this is similar to the one that I just read. So Sarah, I'm just going to read this one as well. Okay, my last blood work show low C3. Should I have more blood work prior to getting the vaccine to see if it has increased?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. If this is something chronic, no, you can have your vaccine and that will be the end of it. If this is something new, it means something.
Okay.
Right. All these lupus markers, you know that we don't assess this as a solitary number, right? It's a sole number. No, we assess this in relation to the previous ones, like how these are fluctuating over time. If this is something stable, okay. If this is something that goes low, not okay.
So I've posted Dr. Cilius' email address, so you're aware. So if you would like to make a note of that for anyone who was looking for that. A couple more comments. Global News, I guess, talking about Canadians vaccinated in the US. So there's if someone wants to read a little bit more on that, Sue has posted the link to that. Global News had an update on that. Someone else commented, yeah, I was aware that some, like a lot of the snowbirds were getting their vaccination in Florida, and someone just posted that her parents did get it in Florida. So can Lupus create a okay then okay, so can Lupus Ontario, we will be looking at other option areas that we could maybe work. If there's a petition that's we're going to do, we would definitely forward that out to you. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. Just another comment. Okay, so next question. Okay, as a lupus patient with minor fluctuation in terms of how I feel from day to day, how do I know if my disease is active or not in order to avoid the vaccine during activity time?
Okay, for minor trouble, if your medicines are not changing, if you don't change the prednisone dose, or if you're not changing the immunosuppressant, the CellCept dose, or whatever, your response to the vaccines will be the same.
No.
Okay, don't worry, go have your vaccine. If you have more severe symptoms like joint trouble with swelling and all these things, or rashes or whatever, no, this is not mild fluctuation, is a full flare. Okay, not a good idea to have the vaccine during that flare. Okay, you have to speak to your doctor first. And if this is not the case we're talking about, you can have the vaccine right away.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the next question looks a little bit more like a comment. It says, not sure about anyone else, but I was asked if I have lupus when I received my first dose. that was the only question asked. So I guess maybe about the process of inquiring about your health.
We inquire about autoimmune conditions when we vaccinate people. It's not a contraindication, right? But we inquire about this, yes. Not only for lupus, for autoimmune conditions in general. Right, there's no question. We have a preset questionnaire, and we run this through all the people who are coming in front of us to get the vaccines.
Okay. Okay, I'm on prednisone 40 milligram for 5 days. How long should I wait for my second dose of AstraZeneca?
If it's only for 5 days, a few days after you end with this short course, I don't know why that was prescribed, but most likely for something irrelevant to lupus. Right, for 5 days only, it sounds something allergic, something like this. But anyway, a few days after you're done with this, yes, you can have the vaccine.
Okay. All right. I guess that's a comment as well. The nurse who gave me my vaccine also had lupus. That's just a comment. Thank you. Dr. Cilius, thank you so much for your dedication and your time this evening. Please know that these sessions have been so informative and appreciated. Excellent meeting. Thank you very much. So just a few thank yous. We do have a few more minutes. That seems to be the end of the questions.
Okay.
Does anyone else have anything last minute or anything you would like to add before we close off, Dr. Cilius?
Sandra,
Yes.
I'll need 2 minutes.
Yes, that's
Only.
go ahead. It's all yours.
Okay, now. Okay, if there are any other questions, the pleasure is all mine. I want to thank, actually, it's an honor for me to have a patient from 2013-14 in Greece, Dimitra, κοιμηθήκες?
No, I am not.
Okay, that's great. Now, Dimitra, in Greece now, it's 3:23 in the morning. And Dimitra is not sleeping. You should go back to sleep. Okay, you should go back to sleep. Okay. Dimitra is a patient of mine since 2008, 2009. I'm so honored. Dimitra, thank you so much. You don't know like what pleasure it is for me to see you after all these years.
Εγώ ευχαριστώ. Δεν μπορώ να μιλήσω τόσο καλά αγγλικά για να τα μεταφέρω στους υπόλοιπους.
She's thanking actually Lupus Ontario and me for the session.
Είναι πολύ σημαντικά αυτά. Εδώ στην Ελλάδα δεν έχουμε τόσο καλή ενημέρωση από έναν γιατρό που να μπορεί να μιλάει απευθείας στους ανθρώπους και στους ασθενείς του.
We didn't have that form of communication in Greece between the doctors and the patients, and we never had that interaction, unfortunately.
Και πρώτα εδώ με εσάς μιλάμε πρώτα με τον άνθρωπο και μετά με τον γιατρό. Μας έχετε στηρίξει πάντα και είναι πολύ σημαντικό που σας έχουν και να σας προσέχουν εκεί πέρα που σας έχουν.
Okay, now she's saying that first comes the person and then the doctor, right? With Dimitra, we have the different relationships. She's a lupus patient, her mother is a lupus patient, and her aunt, her mother's sister is a lupus patient. And she's asking you to take care of me, to take good care of me. Dimitra, they're taking good care of me, don't worry, don't worry.
You can mention to her too that she could go on the Lupus site. You know, there's lots of information. There's a fax booklet if she would like to share it with her family and friends.
Dimitra,
Ναι.
το Lupus Ontario το ξέρεις?
Είμαι στο Facebook.
Okay. She's a Facebook follower. Okay. That's great. So you'll get all the announcements. Okay. Dimitra.
Ορίστε.
Thank you so much for attending this. Okay. Regards, best wishes to your mother, Zoe and Angeliki.
Thank you for...
And now you can go back to sleep.
Okay, my doctor.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, and after this, I would like to thank Lupus Ontario. I'm seeing again all these familiar, lovely faces. I don't know where to start. Mel, like Mel is following me in Hamilton, Gail, John Paul, Jackie. Jackie, it's so lovely to see you again. I'm seeing Miss Dobson, you're here. Mirthlin, you went to sleep. Sharon, Linda, Diane. Oh, God, Kirissa, Yadira, all of them. Okay, Christine, Jillian. Jillian? No.
Hi.
It's so nice to see you all. I'm really touched. Anyway, what we have to do, we'll be working on this vaccine story and how we'll get this as soon as possible for the lupus patients, right? I want you to take care of yourselves. I want you to protect yourselves. We're still in the middle of it. We're not out of the woods, unfortunately. Okay, I know most of you may have, may feel angry, may feel upset, may criticize the authorities and the government and all this. Okay, I hear you. Yes, I don't think it's the time for criticism now. Okay, it's the time for actions to do whatever we need to do to protect ourselves and our families. Okay, and after that, we'll end, because I'm sure it will end at some point. Okay, we'll discuss and hopefully we'll be better prepared next time. Okay.
Okay, well, there's just lots of greetings, lots of thank yous, lots of your patients are here.
I'm really sorry for that. I'm seeing all these familiar faces, you know.
Like you're the best doctor in Canada. We
Oh,
love you. Thank you for your time. Everybody loves you. You know, just, you know, a lot of your patients are here sending lots of love. Blessed that you're, you know, my doctor.
Thank you.
Someone is wishing they had you as their physician, but I guess, Bryn, you're a little further east. It would be a little drive into Hamilton.
I would drive in
You would
just to
drive
see
to
Dr.
Hamilton.
Cilios.
Yeah,
anyway,
just
thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. I love you too, but this is not enough. Okay, take care of yourselves.
And like I said, Dr. Cilius will be keeping us informed. We have an extremely close working relationship with him. As soon as this test is available for the antibodies, as soon as we can get this letter into him so he could get it to the government bodies to try and get us these the second vaccine dose earlier. We will be working on all that for you, our members. We appreciate you joining us. Remember, it is Lupus Awareness Month, which, you know, get your family friend. Remember, May 21st.
I have my purple shirt.
Put on Purple Day. Please share that on our social media sites. Again, we do have our support group meetings. We have our webinar, May 18. Hope to see most of you there again. We thank you for your support. We will definitely be having, as soon as there's more updates and Dr. Cilius has the time, we will definitely be having another one of this session, because we have a long way to go with this situation with the COVID, the vaccine, and he's definitely one of the best source we can have to get the information we need. So thank you. Thank you very much again on behalf of Lupus Ontario. We appreciate your time, your support.
So my pleasure. My pleasure.
Okay. I don't see any other last minute questions.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, Helen. Yes, Helen. Do you have a question?
Well, not exactly a question, but would it be of any help to Dr. Chelios if Lupus Gatineau offers their support for your support letter?
So she said the Lupus, the Gatineau office will be helping with your support letter, Dr. Cilius.
It's an associate, it's a group, in the Lupus group in Quebec. We're in Gatineau, just across the Ottawa River.
Oh, I see. I see. If I could have your support, actually, I'm preparing a letter. I have my letter ready, to be honest, but okay. I was waiting for permission from my directors at McMaster. Yes. So that I will send it out. Now I will send it to Linda. Okay, we'll have the support of Lupus Ontario in the same letter, I guess,
Okay,
that we are working together, and then we'll send it out to the national committee.
And Elaine, we could send it to you if you like, so your group can also support, if that makes sense, Dr.
Yes.
Delios. Because there is a lupus group in Quebec, as Helene mentioned, it's in Gatineau. And they're just offering to send a letter of support as well, if you think that would be helpful.
we are 78 members.
Okay, that would be great. That would be great.
We can coordinate that, like we can get it to you, Elaine.
Thank you.
Okay,
Every
great,
help is
thank
welcome.
you.
Every help is welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helen. Any other questions? Anything last minute? Okay, well,
I would like to ask
ahead,
Dr.
Sarah.
Cilios. This one's for me.
Yes.
For those lupus patients who are still kind of on the fence and a little bit scared to take the vaccine, what would be your recommendation to keep us safe and strong that might come from, vitamins or supplements or anything that you would maybe suggest looking at the patient holistically?
Sarah, the only vitamin O supplement that has been proven to offer some protection and mitigate the severity of the infection if you contract the virus is vitamin D. Right, this is like beyond doubt that normal levels of vitamin D will help you get over this in most cases.
Is there an
Right.
amount
We
that
knew that for other infections. Actually, you need to measure your levels in the blood. Right now, the recommended dose, daily dose, is 800 units. At least this is the minimum. Okay, now if you take 1,000, you won't get any harm out of it. Right, but I don't know how your levels are. Like I'm checking people who were prescribed vitamin D and they come back insufficient or severely deficient because we consider this sometimes to be irrelevant or not so helpful, right, for patients with lupus. But the truth of the matter is that in Canada, we have severe deficiencies of vitamin D. We don't have so much sunshine, the conditions are different. Right, when it comes to supplements, this is beyond doubt. Okay.
Great. Thank you. And taking vitamin D doesn't have any contraindications with any medications at all? No.
Absolutely none. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions before we wrap up? So Dr. T, you need to color your hair purple for May 21st. Someone wants to see your purple hair.
Okay.
And Sarah, great question.
I have to do this sometime, right? I have to do it.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, again, thank you, Dr. Cilios. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Members, we look forward to seeing you at our upcoming events for Lupus Awareness Month and at the next webinar. Thank you so much. You all have a great evening.